Good evening, friends. Oh, what a day. Uh, Woke up kind of late after going to bed pretty late this morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then wake up at 1:45. And then just kind of surrendered myself to Spirit to the day to get messages on everything that's going on after the video I posted yesterday. And so I got some messages that's been coming through all day, even, till now. And so I was sitting there tonight and decided, okay, well, I'm going to take a leap of faith here and come pull some cards for myself. And so I pulled numerous cards from a couple decks, then asked some numerous questions, and got some insight. So I want to share it because I think they're very powerful messages that I got. And I can say this: I've been numb for quite a while, and when I got these messages, I felt something stir inside that felt really good, very positive, very loving, and I haven't felt that in a while. So I definitely want to share. One of the main things I came to get from the one particular deck, one particular set of 3 questions, 3-card pull. Of the 3 cards, 2 cards had this Latin phrase and the meaning. Because when I do my readings for my cards, I always do my own interpretation, and I do, out of respect, the creator of the cards. I read their meaning. Unless it's a reading for someone else, I generally just do that for myself. Or if I'm having a hard time interpreting, and then for a reading, then I will go to the meaning. But anyway, there's this Latin phrase, Copa Diem. It's something like that. Capri Diem, Kappa Diem. Basically, it means that you surrender control because you can't control what happens in the future, and you can't control for sure what happens in the past, but you can control what happens in your present. Well, for me, the meaning the interpretation I got from that very strongly was, because of my personal issues with control, is that I don't have to have control in everything. I don't need to for sure control what happens in the future. I don't need to overthink that. If I do this, then I need to be prepared for this, and this, and then step into that and say, well, I need to now look at this over here that could possibly happen, and then start branching out from there. And then before you know it, I'm up all night long for days trying to overthink situations that will never happen. Those of us that are overthinkers, I see you back there in the back, okay? Yeah, I see your t-shirt back there you're wearing. So you know what I'm talking about. So I don't need to control everything. With my autism, I've told numerous times in numerous videos, I've talked about the need for control, this need to have control in everything, because I have to have it. It's like my thing because of the autism. I have to have that control, that stability, that no chaos, the order, the structure. Well, I've been working on it, and it's still an issue. And I can see it, and so Spirit was basically saying that we have to surrender control, that we have limited control of what's going on around us right now, because the people that are involved in our lives, we have no control over them. So there's your limitation. You have no control over the weather, those kind of things. There's your limited, control. You can control your reaction to things around you, to people around you. You can control that kind of stuff. But that's it. You can control what you do. So for me, it's basically surrender and control. So for those of you out there that are control freaks, surrender it. If you're in a relationship, you don't need to be in total control of the relationship. Okay? It needs to be shared, and there'll be times when you have a little more control than your partner, and your partner has a little more control than you, but nobody needs to basically be running the relationship. You both should be running it equally. So as I'm getting that, I'm also getting a lot about perspective and anger. And I was like, okay, well then I'm like trying to get elaboration on it. So basically what I was getting at was this. I've told you, especially in the video yesterday, anytime I'm in a relationship and it goes bad and ends, I take everything on me. I am now wearing that like a turtle. Okay? So, with that said, I can now step back, looking from a spiritual perspective up here, which I talked about in pretty much almost all my twin flame videos, that you need to be looking at things from here. Because your twin flame is not a romantic relationship, it's a spiritual relationship, spiritual awakening. Okay? Look from your spiritual perspective. Don't take on everything on you. The relationship is two people. You both have done things that are wrong. Own up to what you've done, and that's all you can do. Now, with that said, we'll say, I'll give the example in the engagement over here. And you all know from the video yesterday, if you watched it, why it broke off. I have every right and reason to be mad at that person, at her, for what she did to me from day one. I have every right and reason, justifiable reason, and all, to truly blame her for everything. Even though, as the person who was giving her everything that I could give, in hindsight, that's really almost like me enabling her, not speaking my mind and speaking up for myself and speaking up for what needed to happen. And if it cost us a relationship, then the relationship was never meant to happen. Evidently it wasn't never meant to happen, because it would be still on now if it was meant to be. So do I get mad at her for what's happened? Do I get mad at her for the way she's acted? I have every right to be. Or do I? I should be mad at her reaction to things and her actions. Why? She has done those things. Why? Because of people that have done things to her in her past, from childhood up, from people she's been in relationships with, friends she's had, have done her things that have made her react and act in the way she's done. I don't have any right to be mad at her, even though she's the one who has done the actions and done the reactions. They're still the result of the way she was done in the past. I should be mad at the people who've done her this way, that have turned her to this point, that have done this to her, made her become the person that she's become, that has enabled her to react and act the way she's done. You follow me? I hope you do. I don't want to hate this person, and I could hate this person, but I don't. What I need to do is love this person from here, pray that they get the help they need, that they are able to change their ways, see the error of their ways, and continue to move forward in a positive manner, drug-free and all that they can live in that kind of a life. I can't fix that. Like, you can't fix the situation that maybe you're in. You can't fix what you were in. You can't fix it. You can't fix it. I realize that now. You can't fix every bird's broken wing. You can't. Sometimes the bird is just meant to have the broken wing, and whatever is supposed to happen from there happens. You can't do anything to fix it. So there's that. We shift back over here. Another thing, this relationship, the TF relationship, something that also came through was, and it ties into this, is that as I was doing a pull, and I did the read on it and was getting it, and this came just as clear as day. Wear the label. Okay, man, I knew right off the bat what that was. I knew what that was. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to wear the label. Wear the label. I push myself back, and I'm sitting there, and I'm taking some breaths. I'm just kind of closing, and I'm like, elaborate. Because I don't get this. I don't get this. I'm not wearing a label. I'm not going to wear a label for things that I am not. I'm not going to do it. And then I was shown this over here, what I just told you. You have to realize things you do from some people that you're in a relationship with, that person is so broken inside. No matter how much work they've done to heal themselves, they're still broken inside. They are still a lot of times, unfortunately, and it's not being disrespectful or anything, they are a broken child. And I can say that because I'm a broken child. Ain't no shame in my game, I'll admit it. They're a broken child. They are a child trapped inside of an adult body because that child was never allowed to be a child. There's aspects of the person that they have grown into through their life that is still there, that gets trapped because of bad trauma they've had in their life. That piece of them gets locked away and like frozen in time, almost like. So those aspects that are like frozen in time remember the trauma. They know the abuse. So if you do something that to them, their perspective, shows them the characteristics, the traits, the aspects of the abuse they suffered, the trauma they suffered at the hands of someone, and because of their perspective and what they've been through, they now see that in you when you may not, the label's not meant for you to take, but you have to wear it. It may not be that that's what's going on. You may be trying to do something completely different. You may be doing absolutely, totally something great. But because of what's happened to them in their past, they can't see it. They see that as danger. Danger, Will Robertson, danger. So what do? They go to their mental handy-dandy little notebook and they write down the notes. And they keep them there. And they keep adding. And unfortunately what happens is you get circles put in square holes. Because they're building a puzzle that is going to inevitably be you through the perspective now triggered by something inside them that you've done that has been misperceived, that has been interpreted, perceived wrongly, but it's triggered the trauma and the abuse inside of them, that fight or flight mode, that Danger Will Robertson survival mode, and now then you're under the microscope, and now then you're going to start being painted as something maybe that you're not. You can't get mad at them for that. You can't take that personally. You absolutely cannot get mad at them for that and resent them for that. You can't start retaliating against that if you're with them or you're broken up. You can't do that because that's not fair to them. Because what you're doing then is you're adding more trauma and more abuse, and you are now absolutely justifying what they have labeled you as. I hope you understand that, because that's what you're doing. You are absolutely proving to them that that's what you are. And that's how you'll be perceived from them from there on. Unless they're able to work through that. So we move over here to this. And I took everything. I'm not good enough. I was a monster. I was this. I was that. I was the reason that the relationship. Two people in a relationship. Now after reaching absolute rock bottom. Not rock bottom, because when you reach rock bottom, there's still handholds to pull yourself up. You know, you're still deep in the hole. Got a long way to go. But absolute rock bottom, you're at the bottom of it. There's smooth walls. You got to spend the time down there now and really think on how to get out of it. What to do to get me out of this. Rock bottom doesn't give you that situation. So I realized what Spirit's talking about with anger. Because over here it was anger. It's anger. Which I let go. I'm not angry, and I wasn't angry from the start with this person. I wasn't. I mean, I was angry, but I wasn't. It was a different anger. Over here, this has turned to hatred. Unfortunately. And believe me, that's a hard pill for me to swallow and say. And I've been fighting saying it and coming to terms with it for a while. Long time now. And listen to me. It doesn't matter if you're with this person or you broke up with them. Do you not think for 1 second that they don't feel that? Because they do. They do. They feel you hate them. And what happens when that happens? They'll be upset for a while. Some will. But what happens when that happens? Your hate usually doesn't just plateau. It doesn't just, flatline, we'll say. It builds and builds and builds and builds, and it's constantly building. And so what happens when that happens? They feel that. They begin to hate you. That's what happens. So I began to hate this person. And it's wrong. It's wrong. Because all the things that happened, I have no right whatsoever, regardless of how I feel about this person, or felt about this person, whether I felt this person was the one, or felt they weren't the one. I have no right, no justification in hating this person, or even getting angry at this person, because of their actions and reactions. Because at the end of the day, they acted and reacted based off of the way that they were treated from childhood on up with their family, their friends, and past relationships. We need to stop seeing people with our naked eyes and see them with our spiritual eyes and realize they're broken, that you're broken. Some are more broken than others. Some are more traumatized than others. Some have been abused more than others. And we need to see that and understand it, respect it, and not make it worse. I've had to swallow a lot in my life. Some of it's self-imposed swallowing. This one has hurt for a long time. Long time. Maybe, just throwing it out there, maybe that's the whole point of the spiritual, what I call torment, which is not fair to call that torment because it's a lack of understanding. Sometimes when we don't understand things, it seems to torment us because we don't understand it. So I refuse from here on out to call it torment. It's not fair to do that to it, and I won't do that. I'm not going to give it that kind of energy of a negativity when I don't understand it. It's not fair to whatever's going on with this. And this may not be that. There's something there and I don't understand it. So what I need to do is what I've already done, is ask the divine for forgiveness. I have asked in prayer this person could forgive me for this hatred. That I know that they know that I've built this up and that I've denied it. They know that because they built it up as well. Believe me. And what happens a lot of times when you get this kind of stuff going on, this hatred, what happens? Sometimes some people just, they feel this need because they feel safe. They're not around you. They feel now that they can stand up for themselves. And what do? They retaliate. Or they don't necessarily retaliate, they attack. And when they attack, what happens? The person who's attacked retaliates. And what happens? You get in this pissing contest between the two of you that is unnecessary and uncalled for and juvenile at the end of the day. But you've gotten into it because why? Because of what's happened in both of your pasts. Got to change the perspective of things, folks. So what do I do over here? I've asked for forgiveness for the divine. I've asked for forgiveness spiritually from this person. And I pull back that hatred. I pull that back. I give it love and I release it. And I learn from it. And I say, I'm not taking on everything, the reason for the relationship breaking. I'm not going to place it upon your shoulders either. You're part of it because you did what you did because of what has happened to you in the past. I put that on the people, the situations, the circumstances of your past. Granted, your actions brought some of these people into your life, the relationships. But had you had a better situation maybe at home, you may have not brought those kind of people around you. You wouldn't have made decisions in your life that maybe would have attracted these type of people. I can't put that on people anymore. I can't do these kind of things because I just can't. I have to see people from that different perspective. And I feel really blessed in knowing that I'm now able to do that. And we'll do that moving forward. I pray that you all can do that as well. You know, I see things now that I did do that, you know, I legitimately, and look, I'll tell you, and I told you, if I did it, I'm going to take responsibility for it. I will take responsibility moving forward for the things that I do and I do alone. Doesn't matter what the other circumstances around me are, will take the responsibility if I knowingly did it or I did it and didn't know it. But I'm going to take the responsibility for the things that I have done moving forward. I will not put on me things that other people have done. You shouldn't either. It's unfair to you. I can tell you, I'll give you an example. Something that I did that was just absolutely stupid that I didn't take credit for. But I knew at the time that I was doing it was just, you're an idiot. I tried to take on the role of the protector with, say, her children. How did I do that? By becoming this idiotic bouncer type bully guy that was ready to go and deal with a stranger in any means necessary to protect these kids. These kids didn't need a protector. They've had a protector all their life. They had the parent that they've been with all their life. They didn't need the guy just coming into their life, coming at them like some kind of weird-ass crazy person, threatening violence against somebody, when that's not the way that I am. I'm not. She knew that. She knew that. But what happens is what happens. I'm going to go to my handy-dandy little mental notebook, and I'm going to add this note in there. He's acting out of character. Violent tendencies. Now, I never said to her that I did that out of trying to be a protector of those kids. The whole time I was saying these things, saying the things I was saying, in my head, I'm like, you are fucking up. You are an idiot. You are an idiot. You know that this is not you. You need to stop it. You need to stop. But I couldn't help myself. I just felt that this was what I needed to do. And, not realizing the damage that I was doing. We gotta think. We gotta think, and we gotta act better. So, that's an example of me taking credit, or not credit, but me taking responsibility for actions. Another thing came through this reading is communication. Folks, we have got to put these damn phones down, turn the damn TV off, send the kids to the grandparents, send them to the movies, send them out. If you can't send them out, wait till they go to bed. If you don't have kids, have a meal together, turn the damn phone off, turn the damn TV off, sit down and just talk. Talk. If we don't get to the point where we can feel safe to talk to each other, because if we don't have the safety feature, then there's no trust. There's no talking about the things that need to be talked about, because you can't be vulnerable if you don't feel safe. We need to sit down and be able to be open, real, raw, honest, vulnerable, and we have to listen. Not react, not shut down, not get angry, not get judgmental, not get defensive, not get our butts hurt, those kind of things. We have to be able to take what we hear, criticism, we have to accept criticism, we have to be able to accept it and be able to feel comfortable enough to give it as well, knowing that they're not going to blow up in your face and go grab a kitchen knife or something. You have to be to that point where that's not going to be an issue. You have to be able to go to the place of talking about the things that are uncomfortable that's happened in your life and not shut down. You have to be able to get to that point. You're with this person because you love them. So you should be able to feel that way. You should be made to feel that way. There should be nothing that you can't talk about with your partner. If they ask you a question because of something that was bad, traumatic, that happened in your life, you can't shut down and not allow them to ask a question. You have to be able to answer the question. You can't do that to them. That is causing them mental problems. Because then they're going to shut down. If you're not willing to talk and not willing to go there, then they're not willing to go there. You reach a stalemate, and what happens? You don't talk anymore. What happens? The relationship starts to have problems, cracks start happening, and then the next thing you know, boop, one's gone, you're broken up, and then you're in a bad shape. You're in a bad way. Sitting there wondering what happened. Well, I'll tell you what happened. Neither one of you was adult enough to sit down and talk and be willing to go there to the uncomfortable, the places of scary, and listen, I have always prayed for a relationship that I could sit down and talk to somebody, my partner, about any and everything, nothing at all, and not have an argument started, not have something, and you're going to have time. Look, I'm not stupid. You're going to have those moments when argument, disagreement, spat comes up. Feelings and emotions get all up in it. But you've got to also be able to work through it. You can't just let it fester and boil up and shut down the conversation. Follow through with the conversation. If you have to take a break and separate for a little bit to gather your thoughts, then do that. You can't get to that point unless you communicate regularly. That has been the detriment to majority of my relationships. It's lack of communication. Had they come to me and told me this was going on, this is what they're seeing, this is what they're feeling, I'd have been willing to sit down and I'm not meaning when I'm saying that if I had been willing at that time, because at that time, if I didn't feel it, then I wouldn't sit down with them. We got to get to the communication. So I hope this helps a lot of you. I really feel like it's a very positive message, and I feel like a lot of you will probably get something out of it if you watch this to the end. So blessings to you all, and good night.